Right, as promised, I'm going to show you what to do if you accidentally nail through a pipe. It happens all the time. Over the years I've had to go to numerous jobs where somebody's put a nail through a pipe. I've even done it myself. It's inevitable. It's embarrassing if you do it yourself as a plumber, because it's usually a pipe you just put in yourself, so it doesn't happen very often. You don't do it, you learn not to. But it is inevitable. If you do a lot of DIY, if you're pulling up floorboards or screwing down floorboards because they creak, you're almost certainly nail through a pipe. First tip I can give you on that front: if you're putting floorboards down, try to keep away from the centres of the boards. That's usually where plumbers will run pipe work, which is the centre of the board. So you're reasonably safe if you screw or nail on the edges of the board either side, but not in the centre as the board runs. Okay, let's have a look. So here we go. You've lifted your floorboard up, you've put nails in, you've heard the soul deadening sound of the hissing of water, and you think, oh, nightmare. Lift the floorboard, and this is what you found. So the first thing obviously you're going to want to do is get all the water out the pipe. As explained on a previous video, you need no water in the pipe. Also on a previous video, if this is a gas pipe, turn the gas off, call a gas safe engineer out. Don't mess with it yourself. Please don't mess with it yourself. Okay, so what you need to do now is give that a good thorough cleaning. So I get the camera set up in my little camera jig, and we'll do that. So like I said before about cleanliness on the pipe, again, this is no different. Absolutely vital it's clean. So this is one way you can fix a leak that you've caused by nailing through a pipe. Now this will only work if you only just caught the surface of the pipe. If you've gone all the way through, then this method won't work, but it will work if you just caught the top of the pipe. Get there, right in there. Get it nice and clean and shiny. Now one of the advantages of this type of solder is it will bridge small gaps. And you'll notice one of the things that does happen when you nail through a pipe, you get a nice little dish in the pipe, and that can be helpful. So get your flux, give the area a clean up like that with a bit of flux in it, blow lamp on it, and away we go. And there you'll see that has filled that hole nicely. Now like I said, this will only work if you've only just tipped the top of the pipe. If it's a massive hole, you put a huge nail through it, then this won't work. But for a small hole, this will work just fine. Now again, leave it cool down, and once it's cool enough, give it a nice clean off with the cloth. And that's one way of fixing where you've nailed through a pipe. Now quite often this will be, imagine that's your joist, quite often that will actually be across your joist where you've nailed through. So like I said, if you've gone all the way through the pipe, this won't work, but if this is just to tip the surface, then that's fine. Right, we'll show you next what to do if you've gone all the way through or it's a much bigger hole. Okay, so you realise you've done the inevitable, you've gone through a pipe. Now you've looked at it that way of fixing it, but if you've gone all the way through, and this is, you imagine, is one of your joists in your house, the only joist you've got now is to cut either side of this fitting, or this hole. There's no good trying to cut on it and replacing it with just one fitting, cheapskating out and just putting one fitting on there, because this bit of pipe now will be all out of shape because of the nail you've put through it. And if you try and solder over a joist, all you're going to do is set your house on fire. So That's not healthy either. So cut there and cut there. So let's do that. Let's put this back in its camera holder doobly. So now you don't have to have a pipe cutter. A small junior hacksaw with a nice new metal blade works just as well. And where your access is limited, the likelihood is if this is you're going to have another pipe there, you'll probably have another pipe there, so you're very unlikely to get a pipe cutter in there anyway. So in that situation, the junior hacksaw blade, go through carefully, give yourself plenty of room away from the joist, junior hacksaw blade through it, go get it. And once you've got one pipe cut, you'll be able to move the other one, pull the other one up, possibly enough to get a hacksaw around it, or a pipe cutter around it, or at least a hacksaw cut on it. So let's get those out of the way. Let's. I'm only going to do one side because it makes pointless doing both in one go. Now the easiest way of doing this, because you don't usually have that much movement in pipe work under the floorboards. Sometimes you do, usually you don't. So what you'll need is this slip socket. Now you notice the difference between these sockets. This one's got a ridge around it, so which is a stop. So as you put your pipe into there, that will stop at that ridge. A slip socket doesn't have that ridge on it, so you can put it on your pipe and you can slide it all the way up and back again. So all that enables you to do is slide your fitting on the pipe past where you need to go. So say you cut that now, you'll be able to pull that pipe up, slot that fitting on. This one actually has a little pib nib in it, but you can tap that. So if that's on there now, you can get something to tap that with, like the gentle persuasion stick, and that'll tap onto the pipe like that. The slip socket will just slip, as its name suggests, will just slip onto there. When that's onto there then, because you have to lift that pipe up, drop that pipe down, and then you'll be able to tap that back into place. Now, of course, if you're cutting both sides out, you'll end up with a short section of pipe you need to put back in. So do the same with both. Put your slip sockets on, drop it into place, and back into where they need to go. So just tap that back off the pipe. So what you have then is your two bits of pipe like that with a bit of the hole in it cut out. So you have a nice short bit of pipe in between there then, and then just join them back up again and solder them up the way I showed you how to solder that on the previous video. Now the other option you've got is a couple of compression fittings. Now the difficulty you have with these, I've never seen a slip compression fitting. So your compression fitting will always have your little stop within it. So what you can do though, because it is only just a small little ring in there, it's less than a millimetre wide, a round file that out, and then again the same thing will happen. You can push it up and down your socket, but what you'll have to, up and down your pipe. But what you'll have to make sure you do is note how far you're going and how far you come back. Otherwise you'll end up in the wrong place, and your compression ring will be in the wrong place. Now something I do want to show you is the use of Ptfe tape. Now I've got a pet hate of mine, this is, and I'm going to vent off about it. I see people doing this with compression fittings and then putting it together like that and then doing them up and thinking that's going to help. That does not work. All that does is make tightening the thing up more difficult. Now, there are places where you're going to want to use Ptfe tape on compression fitting like this. Quite often if it's an old pipe, so you can see the edge of that pipe now is damaged a little bit because I tapped that fitting onto it. So what you want to do, get your compression ring on, tighten the joint on a little bit to hold the compression ring in place, and then the PTFE goes between there and there, because that's where the sealing point is. So see where the fitting goes on, got the chamfered edge there, that's where the seal is. Now 99 times out of 100 that'll work fine with a bit of sealing paste on there, not PTFE. But sometimes PTFE will help you and will stop a leak. So this is where it goes. It doesn't go on the thread, it goes here. A couple of wraps, 5 or 6 wraps is more than enough. Give it a good squish off. Now see how it's happened there. Make sure you clean that back from the edge of the pipe, because you don't want it blocking the pipe up. And that's in there now. What you'll get is a nice watertight joint. But the importance of tightening the compression ring up first before you put PTFE on it is that helps it bite into the copper and hold it firm. If you put the PTFE on when it's loose, like I've done, because I don't want to waste the fitting, it might get in between there and the copper, and it might stop it from biting in properly. But then that, even hand tight like that, that would be watertight. But of course you don't want to leave it hand tight and get a spanner on there and do it up. But don't go mad with it. There's no need to be Herculean on it, just tighten it up enough. So that's how you can repair your leaks under the boards. But most of the time this method will work a treat, because most of the time you only just pierce the surface when you realise what's happened. If you keep on going, hammering it through, then you're making life hard for yourself, and you'll have to do it the cut out both sides bit where you're doing it. So I hope that's helpful, and give us a thumbs up if you like it.